Hello, my name is Keshwani. That's K-E-S-H-W-A-N-I, Keshwani. We are here because we want to prepare for the math portion of the GRE. We have been solving math problems out of this book here, the official guide to the GRE, the revised general test. If you do not own this book already, purchase one immediately. You're going to need it in order to follow my work, in order to be able to follow my work. The problem that we are about to solve is the one that you're going to find on page number 148, the very top of the page 148. Today is our lesson number 33, day 33. Let's take a look at it. We are told that this is question number 9. In the real exam, when this question was given, 71% of the people had no trouble solving this thing. About 3/10 of the people missed it. Let's take a look at it. We are told that y equals 3x. We are told that z equals 2y. And the question simply is, what is the value of x plus y plus z? What is the value of x plus y plus z? Where it talks about in terms of x, what's the value of the x plus y plus z in terms of x, we'll worry about it later. There are two ways we'll worry about it later, because you'll see in a second as to why we don't need to worry about it in the method that we are about to do. There are two ways you can solve this question. There are two ways you can go about solving this question. One is what I call the classical way, the traditional way, the orthodox way, the geeky way, the nerdy way, the academic way, the mathematical way, the algebraic way, the way that they expect you to solve this question. And the other one is what I call the unorthodox way. The unorthodox way here is to simply plug in numbers. Plug in numbers for the variable x, y, and z. But when you're plugging in, there are some things you have to keep in mind. I'm going to put them here. Do not plug in. PI stands for plug in. Do not plug in 0. When you're using a plugging in technique, do not plug in 0. For the obvious reason, because 0 obliterates everything. 0 destroys everything. For example, if you were to plug in 0 for x, what would y be? Y would also be 0. And if y is 0, then what would z be? Z will also be 0. And this whole problem will cease to exist. If Michael is 3 times old as Adam, and you pretend that Adam is 0, neither of them are born. Neither Michael nor Adam, neither of them are born. The problem ceases to exist. 0 is a nasty number to plug in. It's a very dangerous number to plug in. Also, do not plug in 1. Do not plug in 1 for obvious reasons, because if the question involves something like x squared, you want that quantity to evolve. If you plug in 1 for x, it doesn't evolve. X squared is still 1, it doesn't change. You want something that's going to evolve with the problem. 1 is not a good number to plug in. Another reason why 1 is not a good number to plug in is because if the correct answer happens to be 5 over x, if they give you answer choices, and if the correct answer happens to be 5 over x, and one of the answer choices happens to be 5, and if you plug in x equal to 1, you can't tell which one is the correct answer. Is it A or is it B? Because 1 creates problems. Also, do not plug in any numbers that appears in the problem itself or in any of the answer choices. Do not plug in any number that appears in the problem or in the answer choices. For example, if 3 appears in the problem, right here for example, 3 appears in the problem, and if one answer choice happens to be 3x and another answer choice happens to be x squared, listen carefully, if one of the answer choices happens to be 3 times x and another answer choice happens to be x squared, and if you plug in 3 for x, you mustn't plug in 3 because 3 appears in the answer choices. But if you plug in 3 for x, you can't tell which one is the right answer. Is it 3 times 3 this one, or is it 3 squared this one? You can't tell. Do not plug in any numbers that appear in the answer choices or in the problem. If one answer choice happens to be x over 3 and the other answer choice happens to be 3 over x, well, you can't tell the bloody difference because they both equal 1. How can you tell which one is the right answer? You can't. Don't plug in, okay? In other words, I'm going in a very roundabout way. In other words, always plug in unique numbers for the given variable so that it stands out by itself, so that it's easily identifiable. 5 is x and so forth. So let's plug in something. Enough of the talk. Y equals 3x. Let's put in 5 for x. If x equals 5, then 3 times 5 is y, which is 15. So if y is 15, then we are told that z equals 2 times y. Y is 15. 2 times y is going to be 30. And the question is, how much is x plus y plus z? Well, we plugged in 5 for x, and based on that, y turns out to be 15. And based on that, 2 times 15 is 30. This turns out to be 30. And 30 plus 5 plus 15 is 20, plus 30 is 50. Put a box around it. This final answer that we arrive at, this final answer that we're looking for, is what I refer to as our punchline. This is our punchline. This is a U, not an O. This is our punchline. So now what we want to do is go through all the answer choices. Listen carefully. We're going to go through all the answer choices one by one. Wherever we see x, we're going to replace it with 5. Wherever we see y in the answer choices, we're going to replace it with 15. Wherever we see z in the answer choices, we're going to replace it with 30, until we come across a quantity that gives us our punchline, 50. Let's take a look at the answer choices. The first answer choice is 10 times x. 10 times x. X is 5. 10 times 5. Voila, that is our punchline. There you go. That is our punchline. The answer is A. That's it. We are done. We got lucky here. We got lucky. Sometimes you have to try out all of them to figure out which one works. Now that is the plugging in technique. What this does is that, listen carefully, what plugging in does is that it takes away all the algebra out of the problem and it converts it into a simple arithmetic problem. Simple arithmetic problem, because all I'm asking you is, if x equals 5 and y equals 15 and z equals 30, then how much is x plus y plus z? It becomes a simple, very simple arithmetic, a second grade, first grade level arithmetic problem. That's what it is. Now we're going to do the same problem in the classical way with the algebra. Okay, I need the room. I need a lot of room, so I need to erase stuff. Let's erase it. I need to erase it. Or perhaps I don't need to erase anything at all. We can do it down here. Y equals 3x. Z equals 2y. X plus y plus z. And since they're looking for the answer in terms of x, this is where in terms of comes into play. Only if you do it the classical way. See, before you don't have to pay attention to the part where it says in terms of x, because we were not doing in terms of x, we were using numbers. We plugged in number for x, so we don't have to worry about it in terms of mumbo jumbo. I was going to say BS, but you can use it if you want to. So x is just x because we're looking for everything in terms of x. So how do we express y in terms of x? Well, y we know equals 3x, so we can replace y with 3x. Y equals 3x. Z we know equals y. Z we know equals 2y. Z we know equals 2y. But this is not good enough. Z needs to be expressed in terms of x. Right now the z is expressed in terms of y. But y we know is 3x. So let's replace this thing. Y is 3x. So this is 2 times 3x. There you go. That's your z. That's your final answer. So how many x's do we have? We have 1x here. 3 x's here, that's 1 plus 3 is 4, and we have 6 x's here, 2 times 3 is 6. 6 plus 3 plus 1 equals 10x. That's your answer. That's it. That's our answer. Answer is A. I will see you tomorrow on day number 34, where we'll do the next two problems that you see on that page, and those are also quite straightforward questions. We are not into hard questions yet. Hard questions are going to, medium and hard questions are going to appear when we get into set 2, 3 and 4 and so forth. This is set number 1. These are all straightforward questions. I will see you tomorrow on day number 34. Alright? Bye now.